kindly subscribe. I would sincerely appreciate you to subscribe, and don't forget to share the video. So what is the update today? What exactly is going on in Nigeria's political landscape? Quite a lot, actually. It's not surprising what we're experiencing right about now, but quite a lot is happening. I'm going to start off with a very interesting scenario, and it's starting with the ADC. What's going on with the ADC? Hold your pace, I'm coming. Okay, so here's what is going on with the ADC. There is a leadership crisis currently rocking the ADC. Now, you know that Peterobi has been asked to fully join the ADC while they try to see how they can start mobilizing, although a lot of things have been going on the ground ever since, just that it didn't make it to the news. But they want prominent persons to really be part of the movement so they can all put their supporters together and they have one agenda. The agenda is to start promoting the ADC in a unified front ahead of 2027. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been very underwhelming. The support base of the president is limited to certain areas, and there is a lack of communication. There's also a lack of accountability. There's a lack of transparency. There is more propaganda than reality. And it obviously feels like the administration's aides do not know how to project realistically the president's idea and political or policies, his economic policies that forms the All Progressives Congress and what it stands for, especially within his administration. There is a deficit in that regard. The administration is very focused on having more influencers who tend to push political narratives. Unfortunately, the narratives are more divisive than harmonizing and educating on what the president's policy reform is all about. At this point in time, it has gotten to a climax that there is nothing they say that anybody believes. And when they try to explain it, it's unexplainable because they do not have any quantifiable data to actually prove that what they said is what they're doing. And the recent tax reform, which is to commence from January 1st, 2026, is basically on the hotline that a lot of persons are talking about and having to see how they can assimilate to contextualize the true meaning of what the 1st of January tax policy or tax law informs. Something that was recently divulged by a House of Rep member, that what was deliberated on the first time, when they decided to implement it, that is the gazetted copy, there were a lot of inconsistencies. In other words, they went behind closed doors and did some executive changes. The House has told us that they will look into it. They set up a committee yesterday to investigate what the House of Rep member divulged, because he said it took him 3 days to look into it. But I will come to that. Within the ADC, there are factions, and I don't know how they will content themselves now that 2027 is approaching, because that will create some kind of confusion for INEC to pick on whom they would recognize. So, this is coming amidst a video that circulated on social media very recently of Peterobi meeting with ATIKU ABUBAKAR. Now, there are talks that Peterobi strategically should be slotted as a vice to ATIKU. That what happened in 2023 would not happen if both of them worked together. That some persons would not wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, declare somebody as a winner, and there'll be no fight. Everywhere will be quiet. But that ATIKU presents an arm of the North that will supposedly not allow any of those inconsistencies and those shenanigans that took place in 2023 to happen. And there are doubts about the formation of Peterobi and ATIKU. Some people believe that there is a lack of trust on the aspiration of ATIKU ABUBAKAR because of how consistently he has always campaigned. And they also feel that ATIKU is working for Tinubu, and that ATIKU and Tinubu, there is really no difference between the both of them. And that Peterobi cannot condemn certain things that certain persons have supposedly displayed and then still be part of them. We're going to look into that. But let's first start off with what is going on in the ADC. Apparently, Ralph Umosu, well, apparently he has been suspended along with 14 others for anti-party activities, or 11 others rather, over alleged anti-party activities. This development was disclosed in a statement released very recently, which is today, December 19, in Abuja, by the Special Advisor on Media and Communication to Honorable Leke Abejide Bashiru Abdul Mohammed. According to the statement, the 6-month suspension affects Ralph Umosu and other notable party figures, including Balarabe Rufai, Ibrahim Mani, Dr. Bamidele Ajadi, Dr. Chike Okogo, Anayo Arinze, Kenneth Bandi, Saeed Abdullahi, Ms. Hawa Musa, Peter Oyewale, Dr. Peter Eder, Prince Festus Igbinoba, and Razak Eyiwayi. So the decision the faction said was taken at a regular meeting of the party's National Working Committee and subsequently conveyed to the public through a statement issued in Abuja. Explaining the action, the faction national chairman Nafiu Bala accused the party members of engaging in activities capable of undermining the unity and orderly administration of the party. So, here is how things get a little bit dicey. The ADC having a faction within them is going to create serious chaos. If they're not able to resolve a one stance, a focal point, there will be divided motivation. Some persons will be as skeptical to fully join the party, especially if Peterobi decides to join the ADC ahead of 2027. I am talking about the obedient movement. They may be skeptical to fully give their support to the ADC because of the faction. A faction weakens whatever mobilization effort the party is trying to galvanize and get. When there is a divided house, it would fail. And they'll be very, very easy to manipulate, and it will be easy for them to be infiltrated. If there is no united front amongst the party members with one voice, with one stance, with one unequivocal ideology, they will definitely be divided. It will be very easy for the APC to penetrate and dissolve the party even before anything kicks off. And that will be a terrible precedent. Okay. Now, let's look at the APC and what they have promised us recently and what Nigerians are currently experiencing. I want us to listen to this very, very, controversial soundbite that was released yesterday or 2 days ago by a House of Rep member. I want us to take a critical listen to what he recently divulged. And since then, across media channels, it has been the sway of the conversation. And we need to understand what we're getting ourselves into by January 1st, 2026. So let's take a close listen to this.
Of privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee of Ethics and Privileges. Still, if the matter is raised in the Committee of the Whole, the chairman shall leave the chair on the order to report progress. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm here today because my privilege has been breached as a member of this all-important House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we passed the tax laws on this floor. And Mr. Speaker, I took my time in the last 3 days to look at the gazetted past copy, the vote and proceedings of the House of Representatives, and also went an extra mile to look at the vote and proceedings of the Senate of what was harmonized. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have all the copies, but I'm coming under privilege because I was here, I gave my vote, and it was counted, and I'm seeing something completely different. So on that note, on this privilege, I will call on Mr. Speaker to graciously look at what was harmonized, what is in the gazetted copy, what was passed in the House and the Senate. You will find out what is before Nigerians, which is being sold to Nigerians at the Ministry of Information, which I personally went to buy the gazetted copies, are not what was passed. So there is no motion here, but Mr. Speaker, I'll be pleading that all the documents should be brought before the Committee of the Whole. The whole members should see what is in the gazetted, should see what they passed on the floor, so that we can make the relevant amendment. Mr. Speaker, this is a breach of the Constitution, this is a breach of our laws, and this should not be taken by this honorable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Abdulsamad. Your observation is noted and action will be taken.
So, my people, when did we get here? How did we get here? What is happening? How do we explain this? How will the APC explain this? Okay, so let's take our minds back. Prior to the 2023 elections, the president went to Chatham House. He was accompanied by a couple of technocrats, as he described them. The president said that these technocrats will speak for him. That is to say that he has teams that are very compatible and they know what they're supposed to do. That without him speaking, they will deliver. He doesn't have to speak for everyone because he's going to be working with the government, with people of like minds who are intelligent, well experienced to reposition Nigeria in its map of greatness. And I wondered how true it is. With the prevailing circumstance and what has happened since then, is that the truth? It's a very worrisome development. Nigerians are actually very bothered. So let's listen to this. According to Punch editorial, the federal government has once again plunged its fiscal operations into disarray, ordering ministries, departments, and agencies to roll over 70% of the 2025 budget into 2026. This directive, outlined in the 2026 abridged budget call circular from the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, prioritized completing ongoing projects and weak revenues and inflation pressures. Only 30% of the 2025 capital allocations will be released this year, with the rest forming the backbone of next year's spending. No new projects are allowed. This development extends the budgetary carryovers begun in 2023, as only 20% of the capital component of the 2025 budget have been released as of August. Now, indeed, the 2023 supplementary, 2024 and 2025 budgets are still running concurrently just days before this fiscal year ends, which Punch editorial considered to be chaotic. While the government has framed the latest directive as fiscal prudence, it exposes, listen to this, deep-seated flaws in budget preparation and execution. It signals financial indiscipline, fiscal indiscipline, a chronic failure that stifles infrastructure development, chokes businesses, and undermines Nigeria's well-being. Apparently, the government attributes the decision to revenue shortfalls and the need to align with priorities like national security, economy, education, health, agriculture, infrastructure, power, energy, and social safety nets for women and youth in all 8,809 words under its renewed hope agenda. The circular cites rising debt service from 13.9 trillion naira in 2025 and to 15.52 trillion naira in 2026, and a tighter overall envelope of 54.46 trillion naira available for the 2026 federal budget. Why is this of notable concern? Listen to this. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu, admitted on Tuesday that the federal government recorded a 30 trillion naira revenue shortfall in 2025, making just 10.7 trillion naira compared with the projected 40.8 trillion naira, underscoring the fiscal crisis. Yet, as Sherifuddin Taylor, an economic professor of the Olabisi Onabanjo University, notes, there is no basis for any budget because what they had not implemented. with the 2025 implementation barely underway in December, projecting a 20 trillion naira deficit lacks an empirical foundation. It is troubling that this rollover departs from the January to December budget cycle, which was restored under the previous Muhammadu Buhari administration, but now derailed under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. In addition, the late submission to the Parliament flagrantly breaches the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which specifies that the praised proposals be laid before the chambers not later than September, the third time under Tinubu. What this House of Rep member exposed is decisions were made without Nigerians carried along, which has always been the pattern. Now, if this lawmaker had not looked through it to expose the deep-seated disparity, then the bill would have been passed. And by January 2026, when you evade your tax, you may be arrested and you don't know why. Or monies may be taken from your account, and they will tell you it's because it's part of the tax new rules, despite what was initially told to us that the bank has no right to touch our monies. Well, we will try to educate ourselves on the complexities of some of this. But the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu needs to do more. It is under what they've been able to fulfill in his first 4 years that they will use as a template to campaign in 2027. If there is nothing to campaign with, if there is no premise to campaign with, what defense do you require for 2027? Have you communicated your policies to Nigerians? Have you told them that this is basically what it is? Because there's a communication deficiency. There is a lack in actually letting Nigerians know about what your policy ideology is and what has been physically manifested. Which one of them has come out to play ball that Nigerians can pick and say, indeed, you have started working? I don't know if anybody understands the question here. So how do you tell Nigerians that you're working? What is the physical viability of what you say you're doing if there is no tangible evidence to present? Nigerians are expected to be worried about the tax laws, about the tax reform. They have every right to be. You're not educating, and you're not giving any form of transparency and accountability of what you have done so far with the taxes that have been remitted by Nigerians. What have you done? How can you explain what you have done? While political machinations and calculations are underway ahead of 2027, the ABC needs to tell Nigerians the truth. Agreed, you will defend yourself, but for once be realistic and logical in the defense. For some of you watching this, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Do we expect more of this communication gap? Do we expect more of this evasion? Do we expect more of this nonchalancy? Or possibly something will pick up? Who knows? When I have 28 ABC-run states, and we're hearing Alex Oti will be declaring very soon. These are indeed interesting times. Let me know what you think. Make sure you share, like this video, kindly subscribe. Bye for now.